Number 15. The Wentworth Woodhouse. It's late at night when a team of ghost hunters embark on the historic 17th century Wentworth Woodhouse. In the English town of Rotherham, in search of the paranormal, they are walking around an old stable area when one of them hears footsteps and sees something.
Come on, if you hit, what's that? What's that? There. Carl, I can see it now. Go for it.
They rush down the hallway and try to get the spirit's attention, but it continues walking ahead and then disappears. I suppose that this could be a setup and that this is just a member of their team, but look closely and you'll see that the figure appears to be completely transparent. Also, apparently these ghost hunters have been doing this for 15 years without really finding anything. That's a seriously long time, so I think if they were going to fake a stunt, then they would have done it way sooner. Number 14. Hugo's House of Horrors. A YouTuber named Hugo Blog is curiously poking around an old abandoned mansion with his friends in Houston as they search for nothing in particular. The crumbling estate looks like it could fall on their heads at any minute, but they bravely keep going in as deep as they dare. I don't speak any Spanish, but I can tell by their voices that they get weirded out by something and decide to leave. Later, they are all reviewing the video of their exploration along with some digital pictures when one still shot in particular grabs their attention. Can you see the silhouette of a girl peering at them through the railing? I definitely can. Another YouTuber named Luis Gomez says that he went there too, and that his camera picked up two children standing in a doorway looking at him, much like the photo you just saw. But this story gets much weirder than that. There's a bunch of text at the end of the video that says someone met their end in the house. Nobody was able to find the person responsible. I wasn't sure if I believed this story, so I did some Googling and I managed to find the exact same text on a Houston police blotter. The police gave an address, and when I put it into Google Maps, it took me back to the house in the video. In other words, the story is real and someone really did meet their end at this location. Nobody knows why. Needless to say, Hugo Blog has not been back since. Number 13. Bus 166. There's an old abandoned bus in the woods that's supposed to be haunted. According to legend, the school wanted to get rid of the bus after someone lost their life on the way home. It switched ownership a few more times before a ghost hunter purchased it for a low price. He's out randomly recording it one day when all of a sudden he hears this. The man recording says that he does not have any children and that he is on his large wooded property all by himself. I will say that the voice does sound like it's coming from inside of the bus, or at least someplace close. I guess he could have a daughter or something who is hiding inside, but probably not. Then, as he is walking closer to the bus, he suddenly hears this very clearly. This could be a prank, but it could also be the ghost of a girl who does not know that she has passed on. She apparently tries to get his attention by cheerfully saying hello, but he runs away, leaving her behind in her rotting bus. Number 12. This video comes from a YouTuber named Mike Robbins and his team of paranormal investigators. They are using a modified Kinect camera and special software to hunt ghosts while wandering around the basement of an old abandoned asylum when suddenly their equipment detects a major hit.
Can you come back and talk to us? Oh, there he is. Hi, buddy.
Mike asks the ghost for its name, how long it's lived here, if it likes living here, and other questions, but gets no response. The spirit does not seem to want to cooperate.
Oh, now he's waving. Thank you. Or maybe he's telling us to go. I don't know.
It's hard to tell if the ghost is waving at them or shooing them away. If this is an insane asylum, then maybe this ghost just wants to be left alone. Then again, there's no real way to verify if the equipment really does work, so we'll never know for sure. Number 11. When a YouTuber named Blake Smith's Gaming Blitz claims to have been hearing paranormal sounds from his basement, his followers suggest that he leaves a camera downstairs and record what happens. He takes their advice, and this is what his phone supposedly picks up. The video goes on like that for over a minute, but he comes back and gets his phone. If this video is fake, then I personally don't know where he got these effects from. It doesn't sound like any movie I've seen or any game I've ever played. If you recognize the sounds from somewhere, or if you think this is real, then I definitely want to get your opinion. Here's another video from the same channel so you can hear it some more.
Hello?
Number 10. Barry can't breathe. According to a team of ghost hunters, this house in San Pedro, California has long been haunted by poltergeists who like to open cupboards, throw plates, change television channels, and linger in certain rooms until a mother and her 2 children felt uncomfortable enough to leave. A lot of events happened before the ghost hunters became involved and therefore were never recorded, but it wasn't uncommon for red liquid to drip from the walls of this haunted home for no explainable reason. Here's a quick clip of this happening in real time before the team's very eyes.
Everyone just left except us. Things are starting to drip out of the cabinets. Nobody believes us, but it's happening.
There it is.
There it is, right there. It's dripping.
Eventually, the ghosts drive the mother and her children out of the home, and the ghost hunters volunteer to stay there and investigate for several months. One day, they hear 3 loud snapping noises coming from the attic and send a man named Barry to investigate. As he later recalls, something was up there waiting for them.
Are you okay, buddy?
God.
Look at his neck. What's behind your neck?
I don't know what's on my neck.
Come on down.
A piece of rope. Barry, get down.
Barry comes back down distraught and confused, now missing his glasses. Some kind of cord is wrapped around his neck, and he insists that something had tried to choke him upstairs in the attic. The investigation was called off not long after, out of a concern for the team's personal safety. Number 9. Ghost Player. This video was taken during a live stream of a soccer match some years ago. I don't know anything about the history of the teams or the soccer field itself, but if this video is to be believed, then something paranormal must have been responsible for what happens next. A shadowy figure appears to be running full speed and then disappears. Like I said, no further information was provided, so please help me out if you know anything. Number 8. Billy's dinner. A child is left alone for just a moment, but still long enough for her to have a possible conversation with a ghost. Look across from her at the wrapped silverware in front of the glass and watch what it does as she speaks.
Dinner.
The silverware moves all by itself shortly after she reminds an invisible person that this is not their dinner. She could be talking to an imaginary friend, but that doesn't explain how the object moved without being touched. The ghost appears to leave her alone after this brief interaction, and she happily resumes eating as if nothing happened. Exactly what it was planning to do to their food could be anyone's guess. Number 7. A team of ghost hunters are using a modified Kinect camera to capture paranormal presence in the historic Houghton Mansion in North Adams, Massachusetts. It was once owned by a wealthy businessman, but has since been converted to a Masonic temple and is believed to be haunted by otherworldly spirits. The person in green is one of the hunters, but listen to what they hear.
What was that?
Yeah, what was that?
I was walking.
No,
it was a
voice.
voice.
It was a voice.
Yes, that was a girl's voice.
It was a girl's voice.
Absolutely a girl's
Downstairs.
voice.
Oh, I didn't even hear it.
You can really hear the voice when you put headphones on. Anyway, I think this video is real because in fake videos, they tend to talk one at a time and not all at once. But in this video, everybody convincingly talks over each other and reacts with genuine surprise. I'd like to hear what you think though. Number 6. The Ghost Infant. This video was taken from a live stream in someone's car. Two friends are singing a popular song by Adele together and just goofing off one night while aimlessly driving. I can't play the clip with sound because the song is copyrighted, but pay attention to the baby seat in the back. It starts out obviously empty, as you can see here in the beginning. However, sometime during their singing, something slowly materializes behind them. Let me know if you can see a ghost child at this point. By the time they finally notice, you can already vaguely see the baby's mouth and other facial features. They are absolutely stunned and quickly turn off the stream without saying another word. I have no possible explanation for this video, besides maybe the shadows playing tricks on them. Still, that's a strange coincidence that begs for a further investigation. Number 5. Haunted Radio. There's not a lot of information available about this video, besides that it was broadcast live somewhere in Albania. Two radio personalities are having a spirited discussion when suddenly they are interrupted by something that neither of them can explain.
Pjesa më e madhe janë pushim dhe po e shijojnë dhe një ditë mrekullueshme që është për jashtë. Wow. Ç'ishte kjo?
A newspaper flies up on its own in the middle of their conversation, and you don't have to speak the language to see the genuine surprise written all over the man's face as it happens. Still, I would really appreciate it if anyone who speaks Albanian could tell me what was being said, or tell me more about their show if you recognize them. I've watched this video many times, and I see no strings attached to the newspaper or anything like that. Obviously, it can't be magnets either. So if it's not magnets or string, then what could it possibly be besides a haunting? Number 4. Alcatraz. A man is walking around the infamous Alcatraz when he picks up two possible paranormal encounters. I'll start with the weirdest one first. He is inspecting a row of holding cells when a loud voice seems to call out to him with a single question. It sounds to me as if the deep voice is asking one simple word: why? The second possible encounter occurs as he is entering another part of the prison. Listen to this strange and haunting laugh. This one has a fairly reasonable explanation. Alcatraz is on an island, so maybe this was a bird call echoing off the prison's walls. I can't tell for sure, so let me know what you think about these two events. Number 3. Weldon Paranormal. An Xbox Kinect is probably the last thing that you would ever expect to use to capture a ghost, but that's what Keith Weldon apparently did on his channel called Weldon Paranormal. This ghost hunter received a call to investigate paranormal activity at an antique store in Rocklin, California, so he packed up his equipment and headed over. The owner of this shop believed that a spirit was attached to an antique piece of furniture. To find the ghost, they used a Kinect camera that's hooked up to a laptop using special ghost hunting software. The software uses the Kinect's motion sensing capabilities to detect and map out any invisible forms in the room. Nothing is happening at first, so after a while, they decide to play old music that's from the same time period as the haunted furniture. Sure enough, they capture a ghost apparently dancing behind them.
And then it has that figure over there and it looks like it's dancing again.
Do you like the music?
Like literally like got rhythm and like...
Oh yeah.
When they turn the music off, they try to interact with the ghost some more.
Shying away. Yeah. Oh my god.
It's holding your hand.
I know.
If this footage is real, then it could be the first time a true human-to-ghost interaction has ever been recorded. I don't understand the technology behind this equipment, so I can't say if it's real or fake, but if you're a ghost hunting expert and can verify this footage, then please let me know. Number 2. The kitchen mist. A man is cooking in his kitchen when a black mist appears behind him. Look for it on the left side of your screen. The man has his back turned and does not seem to notice what's going on behind him. What's especially strange is how the black mist starts to back away from the door when the man heads into the other room. Once the homeowner is safely out of view, the mist turns very dark and quickly darts in front of the doorway. No clear explanation has ever been provided, though I'd like to hear yours. Whatever the thing is, it's never been recorded again since. Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you've ever been curious as to what I look like in real life, then follow me on Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT with underscores instead of spaces. I also have a Twitter at YT_chills where I post video updates. I'd really appreciate it if you followed me, and feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions or suggestions. Also, I recently created a subreddit where you can submit videos and stories for future lists. It's r/chillsnarrator, and the link is in the description below. It's a proven fact that generosity makes you a happier person, so if you're generous enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it, then thank you. This way you'll be notified of the new videos we upload every Tuesday and Saturday. If English isn't the only language you speak and you're interested in getting a shout out, click more, then add translations. By translating the video, not only will more people be able to watch it, but a link to your channel will be added in the description. Number 1. Here's another strange basement video that doesn't seem to have any good explanation besides the paranormal. A YouTuber named David's Ghost Cams has recently installed a brand new smoke and carbon monoxide detector that seems to be acting quite strangely. First of all, it only goes off when he is downstairs. Second, it tells him that the carbon monoxide levels are at 0%, which means it shouldn't be going off at all. Finally, it tells him to get out of his home.
Okay, so we're gonna go downstairs, and I'm going to show you what happened the other night.
Look what happens as soon as he steps foot in the basement.
Carbon monoxide detector.
Keep in mind that this alarm has not gone off since the last time he went downstairs. There's obviously no smoke to speak of. This, combined with other weird happenings, has David convinced that his basement is quite haunted. David explains that he once had a house guest who stayed in the basement over 3 months before taking his life. Everyone was surprised. Ever since then, David has noticed things in the house moving around by themselves, strange noises, and most recently, the faulty smoke alarm. Even stranger is that how, as soon as David starts talking about the smoke alarm again, it goes off on its own for a second time. The only explanation I have for this video is that somehow David is manually testing the smoke detector himself and blaming it on a ghost as a prank. However, all of the smoke detectors I've ever seen requires you to physically press a button. This one really does seem to be going off all by itself. This brings me to an interesting point. If David's house guest was a friend, then why would he be telling him to leave his home? Perhaps there is some sort of danger. Perhaps he is trying to warn David of a gas leak or an impending fire. I guess only time will tell. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!